Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Elizabeth and I run the blog lifefromtheviolasection.com where I share my favorite practice tips, general advice, and tech for musicians. So today I'm very excited to show you how exactly I use my iPad in my lessons as a private music teacher. So right now all of my students except for one are entirely online, so I am always on Zoom and using my iPad for lessons, and I've been able to really use technology to my advantage, so I wanted to really share that with all of you to maybe implement this into your own music lessons. So if you don't already know, I have an iPad Pro from 2020. It's the 12.9-inch display. I made a video all about what's on my iPad pretty soon after I got it, and it's actually my most watched video, and I'm really proud of it. So if you haven't already seen what is on my iPad, or at least a little over a year ago what was on my iPad, definitely go check that out. So what you're seeing is my general setup for lessons. I have my laptop right over here. It's a little bit off the screen for you guys, but I have it set up on a music stand with a webcam on my laptop. I showed my full online music teaching setup in a video that I made about a year ago, and nothing has changed too much. I've made a few upgrades, but everything is generally the same. So definitely go check that out if you'd like to see everything. And then I do teach right next to my keyboard because I do teach piano lessons, but I also just use it for my violin and viola students as well. So I always have my music up here, whether that's piano music or violin music or viola music. I've got it all there so that I can easily see it when students are playing. And I have my iPad right here where I write notes for students, and I also use my iPad to read sheet music, and we're about to get all into that. So the biggest thing that I use my iPad for with my private students is for making notes for them. So each of my students has their own individual Google Docs, and every week at their lesson I update it with the date, what they're working on, and how they should practice it. So this is an imaginary note that I made in one of my previous videos, but I'm going to use that still as an example today. So I will always do 3 enters, and I use this Bluetooth keyboard that I got back in 2015. It still works great. It's a keyboard and it connects via Bluetooth. It does its job super well. So then I go back up and I write the date. Today's the 30th. And then I write whatever they're working on. So let's say they're working on a C major scale. Then I start using bullet points so that they can see what to practice. Say good job with legato. Try at metronome on 60. And 100, you know, something like that. Just a few practice suggestions. And then try 8 notes to a bow. And I would talk through all of that in the lessons, but also this is just a reminder for them to check through the week while they practice. And then let's say they're working on the first Bach cello suite. So if they're doing the prelude, maybe I'd say measures 1 through 8, check tuning, make contact with 1 string at a time. You know, just reminders for them to think about through the week as they practice. So I try to make these as helpful and as tangible as I can so that all students know exactly what to do. And I do this so that they have tangible steps that they can use to improve what they want to improve, and they're not left wondering, do I just repeat this over and over again? I try to give them real steps to actually see progress through practicing. So other than each student's separate Google Doc, I also use my iPad really, really often to share my screen and share music. If I'm writing in Fingerings for them, I'll share the screen so they can visually see that. So I usually use Forscore, but sometimes I'll use GoodNotes. It just depends on how big the music is. Like if it's just a quick 1-page scan that I made in the lesson, I might just open it in GoodNotes. Otherwise, I have Forscore. Okay, so you can see in this one, skipping and walking fingers, that I just pulled up, there are a few finger numbers written in. Maybe I have to write in a couple more. And then if I want to share this with the student after the lesson for them to look over when they practice, I'll usually just make a screenshot of that, crop it so that it's less distracting. Then I save it. Go back to the student's notes, and then I would make a separate heading section for that, but I'm just not going to save some time today. Then we add the picture in, And there we go. Now the student has access to that. So I find that to be really, really helpful. And now I'll show you how I actually share my iPad screen. This is what my Zoom looks like. This is what a student sees, except I think I'm mirrored right now because I'm recording my screen and I'm not recording through Zoom. So this will show you exactly how to screen record. I go to share screen. I make sure that my iPad is plugged in because when I'm on Zoom teaching, I use Ethernet on my laptop, so I'm not able to do the AirPlay. So I choose iPhone or iPad via cable. If I need to share my screen or if I want to share a video, I'll check those boxes. But usually if I'm doing either of those things, I'm just sharing my laptop screen instead. So I choose that. And there you go. You're now seeing my screen. And I can write on this. And you'll see it on Zoom. If you would rather use AirPlay, I'll show you that really fast. Sometimes you just have to press install. Don't really know why. Then go over to screen mirroring on your iPad. Then choose Zoom. There you go. This one seems to be a bit slower on my laptop, but it also works. I just can't do that if I'm using Ethernet because it has to be done through Wi-Fi. Sometimes in the middle of the lesson or right before a lesson, I'll realize that I need to scan a piece of music because I don't have it on my iPad, and I might need to share the screen or I might need to share some music with a student. So I usually scan on my iPhone, but today, just to show you how the iPad works, I'll scan on my iPad. So to scan a document, I go to the Apple Notes app once I find it. Go to the little camera icon, scan documents. And it kind of just does it on its own. It's not the highest quality scanner app that I've ever used. It is just built in. I do prefer TurboScan, but I haven't gotten around to buying it on my Apple account yet. So there's that. So you are able to crop this if you're not happy with the way that it did it automatically. Just gonna edit that a little bit. And you can also change the color or grayscale, whatever you'd prefer for your scan. I usually do grayscale or black and white, whichever looks better. This time I think it's black and white that looks the best. So we press done, save, and then it's just saved as a document and it automatically chooses a name for it, but you're able to rename it very easily. And then if I want to use that, I just press share. Then I choose Forscore, and it opens right up in there. I can share my screen on Zoom and write all over this. There you go. Super quick and easy. Of course, if you're doing it in the middle of a lesson, it can feel like eternity, but it's fast, it's simple, and I'm able to share it with a student. I also like to use my iPad as a whiteboard in lessons if I'm teaching music theory or really anything that would require a whiteboard or some kind of drawing utensil in real life. So I always keep just blank sheet music in my GoodNotes app. So I can easily draw a treble clef and talk about note names. And when I share my screen on Zoom, they're able to see this in real time. They can ask me questions, and I'm able to talk and draw just like I would be using a whiteboard in real life if I was teaching an in-person student. So I love doing this. I always have blank sheet music, and if I make a new page in this notebook, the automatic template is just sheet music, so I'm able to create endless amounts of pages as I need them. So I love using this. I've been using this for a long time for my students. Another way I've used my iPad for music lessons is to just make a quick recording to send off to my students if we're doing a duet together. I used to do this a lot for my piano students, so if they would be playing like a fun Disney song and there was a duet part for it, I would just record the duet part and send it off their way. I had found that using the voice memo app is really easy because most of my students' parents have iPhones. I can just easily iMessage it to them, or I can also upload it into their Google Docs notes. Makes it super easy. I've also used my fancy mics and interface in Audacity to record, but The iPad is very simple, very easy. Not the highest quality, but if you need to just make a quick little recording, that is super easy and simple. So when I teach online lessons, I really love using the website musictheory.net. You can use that on your iPad and share your screen in Zoom. Of course, I usually just use my laptop because I find it easier and faster. But let me show you a little bit of that. Okay, so this is what the homepage of musictheory.net looks like. I go over to exercises, and there are two that I use really often. The first is note identification. The second is note construction. So I'm going to go to note construction. Just going to use the web version. I usually do this on my MacBook and just share my screen through the laptop. But if you'd rather use your iPad, this is how you're going to do it. So on Zoom, there is a way to have the student on the other end take control of your computer, and they can actually click and it will respond on your end. So I do let my students actually click on this and build the notes themselves. So they want us to build a B flat on this. So right now it's showing B natural. So the student would click on the flat, submit answer, there they go. And then I do this for violin, viola, and piano students. So then once they make the note and they get it correct, then I ask them to find it on their instrument in that exact octave, you know, exactly where that note is. So it really helps them find the note on the page, on their instrument, and it really like checks all the boxes. So that's something that I really love to do, of course, on my laptop, but you're easily able to do that on your iPad too. So those are the ways that I typically use my iPad in any private music lesson that I give. I love to share my screen, use it as a whiteboard. I also find it so easy to share finger numbers and notes with students because they can see me writing in real time. Whereas in an in-person lesson, it would also work out great if I was just writing on their sheet music or if they were looking at my music on one stand. But since we're in two different places, sharing the screen works just as well. I love doing it. I hope this gave you some ideas and inspiration of ways that you can use your iPad or maybe whatever kind of tablet you might have to use in your music lessons. I personally love using my iPad in music lessons, and I think that it's a great way to keep students engaged, especially if you use fun colors and different things like that. It can make it really fun for them and really interesting, and it just breaks up the lesson from just playing, talking, playing, talking. It can add a little bit more fun in there. If you have any other ways that you use an iPad or tablet in your music lessons, please let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear them, and I'm sure they would help out a bunch of other teachers as well. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider supporting my free content on Ko-fi. I post new videos every Sunday at noon Eastern Time, so be sure to subscribe if you'd like to stay in the loop on all of my videos. Thanks for watching.